Saludos amigos de Pro Wrestling PR, este que le habla es Juan Torres. Aquí nuevamente trayéndole otra versión más desde el escritorio de COO. Y como puede ver, en estos momentos estamos viendo a Lince Dorado que se encuentra con nosotros acá. Lince, thank you for this opportunity. We really appreciate it that you reach out for us and you accepted this interview. And for us, this means a lot. And I really want to thank you again for the opportunity, just being accessible and answering our call, and this means a lot for us. Thank you so much again.
No, like I said, man, thank you very much, for having me. This means a lot to me. Growing up, this is like a dream come true, not only being a pro wrestler, but to represent the people of Puerto Rico and, my family. So, thank you, man.
Yeah, and the thing is that as we were talking before we started recording this interview, it was a surprise for many in Puerto Rico that you were called for the CWC. And when it came and we knew, I can assure you that many fans in the island that follow WWE, they will never know that you were a Puerto Rican. So they were pretty excited when they knew that you were part of the CWC. So this, it's pretty cool because I know that John were over there the other day and he was practicing with you guys. But we're gonna enter into a little bit. So we go ahead and just start asking questions. Where and when did you started your wrestling career?
Wow. Okay, so it started almost over 10 years ago as this character, Lince Dorado. And, I got trained up in Philadelphia at the Chikara Wrestle Factory with some guys named Mike Quackenbush, Chris Hero, and Claudio Castagnoli, who's on WWE as Cesaro now.
Yeah, I know.
After a while, I didn't even want to wrestle. I just came in with two of my other friends who were like, they wanted to do it, and then I just started before them, like Excel. And, eventually Pantera came over and Skyda came over, and they saw something in me, and they were like, this guy, I love Lucha Libre all my life. Puerto Rican, Mexican, Japanese, everything. And, when they asked me to go with them back to Mexico or Chicago to go train, I said, yeah, man, definitely, because Lucha Libre was my style. And, I just haven't stopped training since then. So,
yeah.
That's my story.
Yeah, and you've become a pretty good sensation around because, I thought that, I can tell that since you're running Shikara, which we're going to enter into that, you had a pretty good run over there. How did this run in Shikara help you in your career?
Definitely. Jakarta was a great place for me to start and learn because there was so many people coming in and out from Japan, Europe, Mexico, Canada, all of these places. So I got to learn a lot of the different styles, and I got to learn a lot working with a lot of different people. And it was just a great place for me to learn. It was a great place for me to develop my character.
Yeah.
And it's just a great place to get knowledge for, professional wrestling, that Lucha Libre.
Yeah. Is there something you will change or something that you would like to have done when you were there in Chikara that you think that you might have done but you didn't do?
Besides to win the Young Lions Cup,
yeah,
I felt like I did everything up to that point that I could do.
Yeah.
And, because of that, and because I also moved too, it was just a little bit harder for me to keep going back and forth money-wise. I was a young cat.
Yeah.
And it was just a smarter idea if I just cut away from Chikara for a little bit. Professional wrestling is like a little bubble. So if you get stuck in that bubble, you can't get out.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to get out, and I value my experience there at Chikara. I have great memories. I have great friends that are still there.
Yeah.
Just a great experience.
I think that this Chikara run for you was maybe what people didn't know that built what Lince Dorado is. And I know that you trained with Cesaro and everything else, but the Chikara run was very, very important in your career. And I can tell because I've been following you a little bit now, and I've been looking around, and it was an amazing run over there. During your match with Marvel's Mitch Ryder, you accidentally rotated your shooting star senton, which ended on you having seizures. How this affected your career at that point?
At that point, you know what? I didn't. To be a professional wrestler, a luchador, you know, you cannot let something so devastating keep you back. And you know, I took that injury. That was a very serious injury. I did my time to rehab, and I took I took it slow, but I didn't let it stop me, because if I let it stop me, I would have been scared to go back in the ring. And I knew that from day one, since I was about 4 or 5 years old, this is what I wanted to do, was be a professional wrestler, a professional luchador. And if that one accident, and that's what it was an accident. I'm no fault. You know, if I let that one accident dictate how my life would have been, I wouldn't have been a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have been in the Cruiserweight Classic, and I wouldn't be here talking to you right now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, this is something that people may not understand. I mean, they might go ahead and say, you know what, it was an accident. But I mean, many, like, for example, just Darren Drozdov, he had his accident. I mean, it was like a running power bomb, and he just missed it, I think, with D'Lo Brown, and this cost him a career. In your case, this was very, very serious injury, but then you just came back from it. I think, like, you stayed out like a couple of months or something like that before you came back to the ring, right?
Yeah, 3 months I was out.
Well, that's very fast for seizures and a concussion, man. That's pretty amazing. Have you ever think about wrestling in the island, at least here in Puerto Rico?
Man, the only time I've ever been to the island to wrestle was for the World Wrestling League on the very first show, and it was awesome, amazing time.
Yeah.
A lot of my family still lives in Puerto Rico with my sister, my 2 brothers, my grandparents and all them, and I visit them a lot.
Yeah.
It just besides WWL, that one time, I haven't found any promotion that will want to bring me in, and it's very frustrating. But you know what? I'm a very proud Puerto Rican, and I'm going to do whatever I can on the WWE stage to represent the people of Puerto Rico, because they need somebody right now. No offense to like Primo and Carlito, who is there, but they're just not being utilized the way that they should be, because those are great wrestlers.
I know they are.
I think like me and Mr. 450 right now, we got a lot of eyes on us with the WWE, and it's a great opportunity to represent the people of Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
But I would love to come down there, man. I would love to spend time, a week, a month, or whatever, and show the people of Puerto Rico and every company out there exactly what I can do.
Yeah, I mean, right now here in Puerto Rico, the two main companies is World Wrestling League and the World Wrestling Council. And both of them have very, very unique rosters, and you will fit in very, very good in them, because right now we have wrestlers here like Angel Fashion, which I know that if you wrestle this guy, you will have a pretty good fight. Sensacional Carlito, I think you've heard of him many times. This is an amazing wrestler also, and we have Carlito in WWC. We also have in WWL, we have many wrestlers over there that I know that if you might decide sometime to come to Puerto Rico and wrestle there, you'll enjoy it. I mean, it's gonna be a pretty good and amazing run if you're here. From the wrestling legends in Puerto Rico, because I don't know if you follow the wrestling here. Because
I follow all wrestling, brother.
Which will be the one that you would like to wrestle with if you had the chance to?
We're talking about from past or present? Right
whichever
now?
You feel like, man. I mean, it's whichever.
Yeah, okay. I mean, guys that I've always grown up watching, whether it be on the island or WWC, the Wapa channel.
Yeah.
You got Invader, obviously Mr. 450, who is, one of my good friends. Me and him always have great matches, great matches.
Yeah.
Chicano is another guy. Angel Fashion, like you said, Carlitos. Even Carlito, any one of those guys there's a lot of good wrestlers in Puerto Rico that if they just got out of the island, or somebody just went to the island and took a look at them, they'd be on TV right now, whether it be WWE or somewhere else, Japón,
I know,
but
yeah.
I'm willing to wrestle and fight everybody, man. I just want to go out there and have fun, especially in my home country of Puerto Rico.
Yeah, that would be awesome if you can be here. In the King of Trios tournament, you wrestled with Claudio Castagnoli, also known as Cesaro. How did it feel to be there with one of the best wrestlers in the world today?
I wrestled him a lot of times. Everything that he does on WWE right now, he practiced on me and somebody else. Pop-up European, he hit that on me. There was giant swing. I think we got up to almost 200 swings. It was crazy.
Wow.
Claudio or Cesaro is, and when I say the strongest man in professional wrestling, I mean the strongest man in professional wrestling. And he may not look it, because when you think of strongman, you think of Brock Lesnar or, Batista or somebody. But Claudio, I've seen him, man, super athletic, jump completely over the ring, toss guys in the air about 20 feet. He is a machine and a freak, man, but in a good way. And I learned a lot from him with basing, and he's based for me a lot of times. A lot of things I can do only with him. And now when I teach the younger guys about how to do lucha libre, hurricanranas, all that other stuff, now I'm showing them how to base, or I'm basing for them. So it's a good, trade-off. I learned a lot. That guy is very, very talented and very smart.
So he was a good school for you then?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
all my trainers have been great, and they're really good at doing something, and I took it all in.
And that's awesome, man. I really appreciate that you can share that with us. You fought, when we talked before, you fought the Young Lions Cup in 2010, and you lost it against Frightmare, I think it was his name. How important was this cup for your career?
I was in the finals with him.
Okay.
Now, leading up to this is when I had just turned into a bad guy, and I was with the BDK with Claudio, Sarah Del Rey, Aries, Tauruses, and we were just running through Chikara. We were getting win after win after win, and we were getting booked outside of the Chikara, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So when it came time to represent, my faction, the BDK, in the finals against Frightmare, you had two sides where you had the undefeated machine of the BDK, and then you had, the smaller guy. And the atmosphere was electric. Fans were so into it. They didn't know who was going to win, because, obviously you had a person who's always winning versus somebody who is, the underdog.
Yeah.
And it was a great way, and that was actually the first time I felt more comfortable in the ring, being able to tell a story than just do moves in the ring just to make the crowd pop or whatever.
Yeah.
But just to captivate the audience with me and him, it was a great experience. And like I said, it was the only thing I didn't do in Chikara was win the Young Lions Cup.
And that was the only thing. I think that's what you would like to do. If it is the case, I know that right now you're concentrating on everything that you're doing right now. It's just focused on the CWC. But if it is the case that you can come back to the company, will you go ahead and back and be again in Chikara if it is the case?
If I always said if I were going to retire or go to WWE, I would love for my last match to be at Chikara. Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome. That shows respect and appreciation for the promotion. From the titles you've won, because I know you've won pretty much many titles around, which is the most significant for you and why?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'm going to go with, in 2008 and 2009, I won a tournament called the Revolution Cup.
Yeah.
And it was a tournament over in Detroit. And the reason because I love that particular title was because I got to team with Mil Máscaras, who was, the biggest, if not one of the biggest names in Lucha Libre, Mexicano or Puerto Riqueño, whatever.
Yeah.
The name Mil Máscaras.
Yeah.
And it was just, I would never forget that moment, and I would never, I still, to this day, is a great experience.
So that was like, I think if you can recall, that's maybe what you can call your best match, if it is the case?
Maybe not my best match, but my best memory.
Memory, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Your run in the independent circuit has been an amazing one. Which of the promotions, besides Chikara, has been the one that has appreciated most your talent?
Oh, man. First Wrestling over in Minnesota. You got Lucha Toronto in Canada, in Toronto. You got Dreamwave in Chicago. You got FIP and Evolve over here in Florida and among other places around the United States. It's just a who's who, man. It's just everywhere. I love wrestling everywhere and anywhere that I can. And just those particular places where I've had some great memories and great matches there. So those are like my top 3 or top 4 or 5 places.
Okay. One of the questions that I have for you is, like, I know that in 2012 you wrestled a dark match for TNA, and after that in 2013 you were part of the Extravaganza wrestling match. What happened there? Why weren't you in the company afterwards?
Yeah, so I had a couple of dark matches, but the one that you're talking about was against Kazarian.
Yeah.
And what happened was I was supposed to wrestle Kid Cash.
Yeah.
He didn't show up because his plane got delayed or something, which was a good thing because I heard horror stories about Kid Cash.
Yeah.
But, when I met him, he was totally fine with me.
Yeah.
And, Kazarian was like, oh, I'll wrestle this guy, no problem. And I was very happy because we had an awesome match.
Yeah.
And because of that, they asked me to come back for the Extravaganza, the one-night stand.
Yeah.
And that day started out good because it was supposed to be 4 of us in a cage match.
Yeah.
And, that's fine. You play around, you jump off things. That is a good time. But in another match that also had 4 people, one person didn't show up. So what happened was they ended up putting all 3 of those guys in my match. So now we got 7 people in a cage.
Oh, wow.
Which, we can't move. We can't, everybody, there's always one person in the ring. It was a chaos. It was chaos. And then one person in the match, I'm not going to mention any names, he was kind of intoxicated. Yeah. And it made the match really bad. But long story short, they asked me to come back a couple times, yeah. And I just wasn't for me. The company was at that time poorly ran, yeah. And I felt like it was just a waste for me to be there as far as like my talent.
Yeah.
But just recently I went back and just wrestled again under a different character that I do on like some other Lucha Libre shows. And I had a really good match with Mark Andrews. I think he goes by Mandrews there. And they offered me to come back again, but like I said, my priority is WWE right now.
I know, yeah. And that's my I mean, this is like the last part of this interview because that's what I want to focus now on, because this is the most important thing right now happening to you. I mean, I can tell that this is maybe the top goal of wrestlers around the world, to go to WWE. How were you contacted to be part of the CWC?
Yeah, I've been emailing, calling everybody in WWE for about 2 years. And I was getting frustrated when I saw a lot of my friends who deserved it go to WWE, and just people just kept bypassing me, and I was just like, man, what do I got to do for me to like stand out? And I pride myself to be one of the only either Puerto Riqueño or American wrestlers with a mask that does the Lucha Libre and all the styles, but mostly Lucha. And finally one day, I think I got an email from the talent guy there. And he said, hey, no guarantees, but we may have something for you in the spring. And in my head, I'm like, okay, well, maybe they're doing the Cruiserweight tournament finally, because they had talked about it for like 2 years since the network came out.
Yeah.
Then when they announced it, I was like, I know I'm in this. But then I waited about 2 weeks. Nobody contacted me, and I was like, oh, my God, here we go again. And then finally they contacted me and said, hey, we're going to announce you to be one of the participants in the Cruiserweight Classic. Do you want to be a part of it? And I said, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean that must be an amazing feeling after knocking so many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just when I see Puerto Ricans over there, it's a good thing, because Puerto Rico is known to be maybe as the university of wrestling, because many wrestlers have come to Puerto Rico to do their primary bases before going back to the United States, specifically WWE. We can mention a couple of them, at least Damien Sandow was one of them. And
he was just there, right?
Yeah, and he was there, and he came to Summer Madness, the event from the WWC. The other, I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, so something like that. So I mean, it's good to see that our Puerto Rican talent is just exerting very well, and when they get to the big leagues, which is WWE, it's good to have you there. How much does this impact your career? How important for you is this to be there at WWE right now?
It's very important, not only for me. Well, it's important for a lot of reasons. Number one, for me, because I've worked really, really hard for the past, like I said, 10, 12 years,
Yeah.
trying to hone my craft, trying to develop my character, my style in the ring. And it's just, I've missed a lot of good opportunities, whether it be because of family or,
Yeah.
other things. But right now is the time. I feel like I'm more mature. I feel like I'm a better wrestler. I feel like I'm in the best shape of my life right now. I feel like I look different
Yeah.
compared to all the other wrestlers in the WWE Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah.
And right now is my time, man. And it's very important for me because I got to support my family. And this
Yeah.
has always been a dream, not a hobby. And for me to go out there and showcase what I can do, it really means a lot, especially to do that on the WWE. And we did the first round taping last week, and it was just it was great, man. I loved it.
Are you hoping to stay in NXT after this is done?
You know what? Honestly, right now, I'm just hoping to be in WWE. I'm hoping that the paycheck I get says WWE and it's signed Vince McMahon, because if you're there for a reason. You're something special. They like you for some reason, and for me to be there, it's an honor. If you're a wrestler, your goal is to be WWE. I don't care what anybody says. That's where the money is. You can say, "Oh, Japan is where I want to be." That's fine. But if you want to make a name for yourself, WWE is where you need to go.
Yeah.
Whether I get stuck in NXT or I get to Raw or SmackDown, or they even have their own cruiserweight show, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, as long as the paycheck says WWE, I'm okay with it.
You know what? In our show, we have a weekly show called the Escritorio COO, where we talk about a lot of stuff. One of the things that we talk about is that the WWE needed this division back, because there are so many talents there that they're not being used right, and having this tournament, if it can stay at least as a division in the company, now that the brand split is coming and everything else, it will be an amazing thing to have. At least, let's say the cruiserweight or the light heavyweight, whichever it was, the titles that were at the time. If this title comes back and everything is going right the way they're thinking about it, 'cause there are many rumors throughout the internet. Hopefully, we can see you over there in that division if it is the case that you stay. Which are your future plans? After this, I mean, because I know, I asked you if you're planning on staying on NXT, but which are your future plans if it's not the case?
Yeah, man, I want to just travel everywhere. I'm in talks with a lot of people as far as me coming in for the first time to wrestle for them. And like I said, one of my goals is to go back to Puerto Rico and wrestle, whether it be for WWC or WWO or any other promotion out there that just needs that spotlight just to get their foot in the door.
Yeah.
And I want to go back to Japan. I'm going back to Canada. I got some things in Mexico that I'm working on, and it's just I just want to make wrestling my career, and that's always been my dream. And right now, my dream is coming true.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And I'm very happy for you. The last two questions have to do with John. I really want to ask you about Mr. 450, because we saw a lot of stuff throughout the internet. And the first thing that was mentioned was the fact that he was going to be in the tournament, which didn't happen eventually. It was a rumor, but people in Puerto Rico were very excited about it, because right now he's like the top wrestler of the island.
Yeah.
How did you felt having someone from the island over there with you? How did it feel?
Well, I don't see him as a person from the island, even though he is.
Yeah.
I see him as my brother, because, man, I've known John, I don't even know how long, 10 years, 8 years. Whenever I used to live in New Jersey and would go to Chicago, where he used to live, And then when he came down to Florida, I helped him out, get him a place, get him bookings and things like that.
Yeah.
And when we found out that we were both going to be on the same show, we were, of course, excited because in our mind we're thinking, man, if we get to wrestle, we're going to blow these people's mind right now.
I know.
Because whenever we're in the ring, it's so easy to just go out there, do our thing, and make people go ooh and ah, and then they remember our match because our match it's just like ham, I don't even know, macaroni and cheese. I don't know.
And that's awesome.
And it was very frustrating for him. I know it was when he wasn't picked or he was called as an alternate. And it was very frustrating for me because, that's my boy. I wanted him to succeed with me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to have the best match possible. And I knew everybody on that roster, the person I would have the best match with would be him.
I know.
So when one of the wrestlers actually could not make it, Zumbi from, I think, Argentina, I called him right away. I said, hey, man, when we do these exercises and we do these workouts,
yeah,
you got to kill it because they need to pick you. I want you to be there. And, unfortunately, he wasn't one of the guys picked. He was there the whole week with us. He got a good experience. And me and him actually shared the same hotel room.
Yeah.
So, I heard a lot of good things, and I know he was frustrated. But, at the same time, he was proud and happy for me. And, I was just happy that I got to share the experience with him.
And that's awesome. And I'm really glad. And this is, as I told you before, when we contact each other throughout the internet, this is an amazing experience for me. Not just because you're Puerto Rican and you're representing our name, it's just because the fact that you're one of the young talents that are coming up in the business, and we really need this, and we really need this young talent to excel, to be up there, to have the spotlight. And I hope that when this is over, after 10 weeks, we can see more from Lince Dorado in WWE. No matter if it's NXT, no matter if it's SmackDown or Raw, whichever. I just hope that you can be there and just keep putting our name right where it's supposed to be, man. And I really, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen when these tournaments come out.
Thank you, man. Yeah, like I said, I'm very proud, man. I'm a very proud Puerto Rican. I'm a very proud luchador wrestler. I even got the Puerto Rican flag tattooed on me and on my tights. So, everybody, there was question like, oh, I didn't know Lince Dorado was Puerto Rican. Well, I got a tattoo, number one. And now if you have to ask, just look at my tights. There's a big flag right in the front. And, when they asked, what do you want to represent? I could have easily said the United States. But, I was... in my head, I was like, well, the people of Puerto Rico need to be represented here. Yeah. We still feel like we're a country. We still feel like we're independent from the United States. And I've just felt like we're so prideful that we need to be represented in this tournament.
Yeah, and this is maybe one of the best things that can happen to us right now here. The wrestling business has been changing so much here in Puerto Rico, and that have this phase, Lince Dorado and John, when John was there, it was pretty exciting and everybody was talking about it, and this just brings hope for us to see more talent from Puerto Rico in the big leagues in WWE. Lince, I really want to thank you for this. I'm humbled. I'm really proud of you, man. I just hope that everything goes right for you, and you can go ahead and just keep bringing things to the island and keep bringing everything that you can to your career and everything that can help you to make you better. And I really, really mean this, man. I really mean it.
Man, thank you very much. And I hope, the people now, I've been feeling the love for the past week from a lot of people from the island, whether it be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I know a lot of people are upset or frustrated that Mr. 450 is not in it.
Yeah.
But you guys got to remember that this isn't the end for him.
I know.
He's on their radar, and everybody in WWE knows who he is. And it's just a matter of time until he's there with me, and it's just a matter of time until we're both there and we're both representing Puerto Rico in the same match, whether we're teaming up or wrestling each other.
I just hope that you guys either team up or wrestle each other so people can see what we can do here in Puerto Rico, man.
I'm happy with either one, man. I'm happy with either one because I know once people see what we can do with one another, That's it, people. We're gonna be the new Rey Mysterio and Psicosis. Watch.
I know. Bueno, muchachos de Pro Wrestling PR, le agradecemos a todos ustedes por ser parte de nuestro proyecto, le agradecemos a todos ustedes por ser parte de Pro Wrestling PR. Gracias a Lince Dorado por sacar un rato para estar con nosotros. Sigan buscándonos a través de las redes sociales y únanse a Pro Wrestling PR y hazte parte de la revolución. Hablamos la próxima semana, Nation. Bye bye.